Hello, good evening, and welcome to the COP update, which is very, very late today. Um, Today and tomorrow, when there will not be COP updates at 2 p.m. because of things I have to get done. I'm going to be honest with you, so I'm doing the absolute best to bring you something today. With me is Kev to go through the next. Well, we say an hour. We might do an hour. We might do a bit less. We might do a bit more. We'll see how we get on. But you're all very welcome. Excuse me. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Hit share. And most of all, try your comments in there. Liverpool related, because we cover as much Liverpool as we can. And there's been Premier League football tonight, which we'll have a discussion on. 25 likes already so far, 57 watching, which will grow on both sides. Someone did hit the unlike button, Kev, and then they realised what they'd done and hit the like button. And if anybody wants to admit to that, they can.
We won't tell
we won't tell anybody. But my apologies for not being with you at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Listen, I literally have today and tomorrow where I have to sort a few bits out, and then I won't let you down again. Well, I'm saying that, but I'll try not to. Kevin Ball says Lampard at the wheel. Let me read out a few of these because Everton have been beaten. United and Everton are hilarious, says Garmack. Loving the time change. I can finally watch them all live. Says You'll Never Walk Alone 97, who has changed his name from 96. Fair play to him. Listen, it's only this show was meant to be on at 2 p.m. today. It's not. It's on at 10 p.m. It won't be the same going forward. Let me see. It would be typical of Everton to pay 40 million for Dele Alli and him to do nothing. But look, we'll get on to them in a little bit. Kev.
All right, mate.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad. Busy day. Busy day.
Want to do a show tomorrow night?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on.
Yeah, midweek fix tomorrow night. Me, you and Keith, and we find someone else. How does that sound?
Sound?
Good.
Not a bother.
Good. See, we're fucking sorting stuff all over the place.
Yeah,
so, first things first. There's only one place to start. Mohammed Salah. Mohammed Salah lost the AFCON final on Sunday night and rocks into training this morning. And by all accounts, tells Klopp that he's ready to go and he's ready to play. And Kev, are you thinking the same as everybody else, where you're thinking this fella is angry and this could get very messy for a lot of teams around us if what I think he's thinking happens?
There's two schools of thought with this one. You either let him go or you protect him from himself. I think the medical staff are very important here, and I think they're the ones that need to be listened to.
Yeah.
Salah's played an awful lot of intense football in high temperatures and high humidity with the weight of a nation on him, and he's probably suffered the biggest disappointment in his international career.
I think it's 5. I think it's the equivalent to 5 games in 10 days.
Yeah, and to come back to the UK, where the weather is going to be atrocious for the next few days, where it's going to be cold, wet, windy, and horrible and shit. Maybe it's not the best idea to let him off the rails just yet.
Yeah.
See how he comes through training today. And if he's on the team sheet, fine. Look, you just go with the manager's decision, what have you. I wouldn't be surprised if he's held back a bit and just said, look, ease yourself back into it. Go, maybe come off the bench tomorrow night or Thursday night and see how you like for Burnley at the weekend. Most important game coming up really is the Milan one, for him. Because I think by then you'll have Sadio be back as well. So I'm in the camp. I think he needs to be protected from himself. As much as I love him and I want to see an angry Mo with a point to prove and wanting to smash records left, right and centre, I think we've got an awful lot of football to play between now and the end of the season, an awful lot of important football. Missing, not playing against Leicester wouldn't be the worst in the world, especially when we have options, live options.
I'm kind of with you. I have to be honest with you. Like Jonathan
I hate having the level, try to be, a level head on it.
No, it's perfectly saying what you're saying.
Yeah, I would absolutely love nothing more than Salah to start and bang a hat trick and come off on the hour and everything be hunky dory. But
I'm with you. Veranda Cheese says, "Get used to it, lads. Salah is gone at the end of the season. You see, starting a row already." But Jonathan says he looked exhausted in the training pics, bags under his eyes, the whole lot. He wants the golden boot, says Kieran B. He'll get it anyway. Salah will be some sub to have. I'm with you. Cloptimistic says, hi Gav, I hope you're well. I am. I'm very good, thanks me. The thing with Mo Salah is, and it's very admirable, him coming back and saying, listen, I lost on Sunday, I took Monday, and I'm back on Tuesday, and I want to play. Look, it's very admirable, but you're right. He's played 4 120-minute games, I think, in the last 10 days, right?
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal, right? And there's no doubt he's angry, he's upset, he's annoyed, and he wants to take that frustration out on the next team that he can get his hands on. But you're right in what you're saying. The medical team are going to look at him. They're going to do a recovery session and look at him, and they scan everything when you do these recovery sessions. This isn't him jogging around for the crack and nobody's taking any data off him. They clearly are, right? But put him on the bench against Leicester, because this is what squad depth is all about. You know, Klopp, I'd say, is kind of playing good cop, bad cop a little bit, you know, doing both roles where he's saying, look, I really know where you're coming from. I completely understand what you're saying, but we've a game to win. We don't want to put you in any danger of fucking blowout. You know what I mean? Anything like that. And, you know, there's loads of games to go. We have cover there now. We have got Jota. We have got Firmino. We have got Luis Diaz now. We've Elliot coming back, who doesn't play up front, fair enough, but Ox could do something up there. Minamino could do something up there. And I have no problem sticking you on the bench. And if you want to come on, if we want to give you, if we need you, we can give you 30. If we don't need you, we can give you 20. Do you know what I'm saying? So he still gets 20 minutes on the pitch. He's going to get a massive ovation when he comes back at Anfield, simply because of who he is, and you know, people can look and go, he really wanted that. Sadio Mane won't be back in Liverpool, I think, till tomorrow night. He's having a great time in Senegal, and fair play to him. But on Salah, like Barry Devaney says, Mo Salah is elite. I've no doubt he's banging down Klopp's door, looking to play, but the medical team will decide how long he gets. That's absolutely fair, isn't it?
Yeah. This is where Klopp, the manager, has to come to the fore here. You know, you got Klopp, the coach, but this is where the manager takes over, and he's got to manage Mo and do what's right for the player, but what's right for the team. And we got the best in the business, so absolutely 100% trust what decision he comes down on. And in the long run, I'm really looking forward to seeing him getting back into the flow, especially in this side. The way it's geared up and the way we can get at sides now from with different ways, different methods of play. We've so many different options. He's just going to be on fire. I think the second half of the season. I said at the start of the season that if he kept up the way he was going, that he'd get very close to his first season's numbers. And I still believe that with the amount of competitions that we're in, I think he'll get very close to his first season's numbers. I think he'll definitely break 30. It's just a case of how far into the 30s he's going to go.
He's on a phenomenal run, but you see, that's the thing with Salah. Salah wants, like, what you're offering Salah and what Salah wants is, and I'm not going, this isn't me talking contracts, by the way,
No.
what you're offering him and what he wants can be two completely different things, because he is, like, and people sometimes have a go at him for this, but he's so fucking driven, Kev. Like, he's looking, going, right, I'll fucking show you. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm here and I'm going to fucking show everyone that, you know, even to just get it out of a system, like just to literally get it out of a system and say, right, let's, you know, the AFCON's gone, you know, it wasn't great, it didn't work out, but I'm absolutely going to make hay while the sun shines here.
Well,
and
did you see?
Do Leicester want to face him? That's the thing. Do Leicester want to
This
face
is the
him?
other thing. Yeah, I mean, did you see the translation of the conversation he had in the dressing room after the game, where he was literally almost dusting this off and saying that we've got these in a couple of weeks to see who goes to the World Cup. You know, it was almost a case of, look, the immediate focus is off the final and on to playing Senegal over 2 legs for the playoffs to see which one of these two gets to go to Qatar in the winter. You know, he's an absolute constant. I think James Milner, for me, was always a consummate professional at the club, and he still is. But I think I've never seen, outside of Ronaldo and Messi, a more dedicated player than him to his craft. The way his physique is, the way he's built up his strength. The man is an absolute monster on the ball. So strong, so physical. you don't see players like him that often, and physically maybe he is up for it, maybe he is able. We don't know, but I think as a professional, I don't think there's anyone that comes anywhere near him. He he's just so, like I said, he's driven, but he's driven by everything now. He's driven by the team, by wanting to win and success, and I think it's medal holes, and he's looking now for in 10 years' time. Where's my legacy? What's my legacy going to be? And it can be whatever he wants. If he stays with Liverpool, his legacy will be whatever he wants it to be, because a fit and fiery Mo Salah for the next 4 or 5 years is silverware. It just is.
Well, you look, we've kind of put a pin in the whole the Salah contract chat because nothing has come out since Salah was quoted and Klopp were quoted basically saying, it's up to the people that are negotiating it. Klopp was it's a normal situation. It's a normal contract situation. There's nothing to be panicking over, and that's fine. But you are going to, like Kev, it's inevitable that the AFCON is over. That was kind of a the AFCON's going on. He's not going to be discussing contracts, but it's over now. And like I would give it less than, I would say before the Burnley game on Saturday, you will see a story come out with some journalists wanting to mention the Salah contract situation and throwing it back out there.
I think there's something needs to happen by the next international break. By the time they go to play Senegal in the World Cup qualifiers, you'd hope that this contract negotiation is either done or very close. And I don't expect the club to say a peep until it's actually ready to be done. But you let him come back, you let him settle in, get going again. But I'd expect something. I hope for something in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Because
by March,
you get more worried as the time goes on, especially when it rocks into the summer.
Definitely 100%. Because this won't go to the end of the summer.
Yeah, it's inevitable that it's going to come up down the next, I would say, 48 hours max.
Yeah,
where it'll be thrown back up. Especially
some journalists.
Following the game, like I put it this way: if he doesn't start against Leicester and Liverpool win, and it'll be straight away, what's going on with David Lennon? Can't see him signing a contract. The contract needs to be done already. The clock is ticking, says Jono. Dan Bailey says Salah is insane. Any other player would be well within their rights to take 10 days off. He's back in the UK 2 days after a final. He'd want trophies and overtaking Owen's Premier League goal scoring record this season too. Zoko says you're spot on, Kev. I think it would be slightly worrying if he goes on another international break without any news coming out. We're going to have to wait and see.
It is.
At the end of the day, you can read it whatever way you want, but nothing has been said really about it. So there has to be something. Going on in the background.
If he wasn't happy, right, his agent would be doing a Haaland. Would be hawking Mo Salah around to every top club in Europe. That in 12 months' time or January next year, he's going to be free to be able to talk to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's not. His agent might be chipping in now and again with cryptic clues and cryptic comments, but he ain't doing a Raiola. So
no, but he only chips in every fucking 6 months. Like Dan Bailey feels it's negligent for the club to sell Salah after the last few days. His commitment is 100%.
I don't think the club would want to sell him.
No, and Robbie Doyle says we should be bending over backwards to extend his contract no matter what. I can't see the club not getting him to sign, says Sonny Kang. But listen, it's Veranda Cheese. He says let Newcastle buy him for 120 million and pay him his 500 grand a week, and he'd be shy up there. The Salah needs Liverpool more than Liverpool need Salah. I think there's a bit of give and take on that, to be honest with you. But I just think it's madness to even consider. Like, me personally, madness to consider letting him go.
It's not a case of considering.
I'm not saying pay him fucking 500 and 600 grand a week, but I think you should find some sort of.
There has to be a compromise made.
Yeah,
but
there is a compromise.
There is a line in the sand for a clock that once we get to a certain point, a decision will have to be made. And if it comes down to, because he will not be allowed to do a genie.
No,
that can't happen.
Jono makes a great point. He says Dave Lennon also said we'd lose to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, so his predictions aren't great. Comment of the night so far, in fairness. Look, we go into this. I kind of stayed away from this a little bit. I mentioned it on one of the cup update maybe yesterday. But we go into a game against Leicester, and we will preview in detail tomorrow night. But I just wanted to talk to you about Brendan Rodgers' comments over the weekend. So they get beaten 4-1 by Forest. They were well beaten. Forest were very good value for their 4-1, in my opinion, right? And we go into the whole, tomorrow we'll do the whole who will play, what the tactics are, what does it mean for both teams. We'll do all of that stuff, and we'll probably have more opinions on Salah starting or not. But what did you make of Brendan Rodgers' comments? Because I'm not the best person to ask, because I just can't abide by the man opening his mouth, right? But Kev, you can't be going around saying stuff like that. Like, no matter how annoyed I are at your team, you turn around and go, we weren't good enough. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And we apologise to our fans, and you move on and you try to make better. But he literally hung them out to dry, Kev. And the wording of it, like someone in the chat were saying yesterday, is it something where he's being given the go-ahead to do a clear-out and start again at Leicester? Or is he under fucking serious pressure here? And he's let it be shown that he's under serious pressure.
I think... All right, turn it ask you then. Right. Was he right? Not about what, not the fact that he said it. Was he right in what he said?
I think
I didn't see the game, so I saw the comments, and I'll tell you what I think about the comments after.
So the comments, what he says in a certain way is right? Okay. And so what I mean by that is that they weren't. He mentions being physical, doing the basics and stuff like that, and that's them two things are literally, everything.
Red rag and
when it comes to an FA Cup game away to a lower league side, albeit in the Championship, you want to match the physicality, you want to do the basics properly, and then you let your quality take over. That's just fucking the first day of coaching. Not the way when you walk into the classroom. What he's saying is right, because what he sees and what he says, I think are correct, right? Because they didn't do the physical, they didn't do the basics, and they didn't let their obvious better quality show because of the first two things that he never got going on. But the way he does it, Kev, for me, is just like, you can be we've seen Liverpool games where we're fucking atrocious and you're fucking going mental over players.
We can do that.
But if a manager comes out, like, how does he walk back into that dressing room? Well, that's the thing for me, Kev. Like, he's basically said, I'm not sure if some of these players here are good enough anymore.
I read the comments.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's trying to be right, but I think he goes completely the wrong way about it.
Yeah.
And Emma Kavanagh says, damage limitation on his own image. That's all that matters to him. Even if he was right, he needs to take some sort of responsibility himself.
Brendan has always been about brand Brendan. All right, that's one. I think he's taken this squad as far as he can. I don't think he can get a tune out of some certain players anymore. Mm-hmm. There's Guardiola and Klopp aside. Managers have a shelf life where players tune out. And you can only say the same thing over and over again before players who've been at the club for a long time just go, look, I've heard this spiel before. Mm-hmm. We're doing our best. You got Yuri Tillemans edging for a move. You've got Vardy coming to the end of his career.
He's out for Thursday, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, someone said earlier he's a big miss. He won't be there on Thursday.
I honestly think that Brendan Rodgers, those comments are the comments of someone who's either been told you're going at the end of the season, or what you said, he's been given room for a clear out, and I don't think he has.
Yeah, because Luke Allman says he's trying to get a reaction. Now, I understand what Luke is saying there, right?
Yeah.
But there's ways to get a reaction. Like, if Brendan Rodgers came out after the game and went, listen, myself, the staff, all the players are in there, and we know that is just not good enough. We apologise to the fans. It's a localish derby, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Leicester and Nottingham are quite close to each other. It's a localish derby. It's the FA Cup. It was the trophy we won last season. It simply wasn't good enough. We're going to talk about it now. We're going to talk about it in the morning. We're going to go through it, and we're going to ensure that it doesn't happen again, because that is just simply not good enough, and we know it. That gets a reaction.
But I wonder how much. Do you remember the way they lost against Tottenham?
Yeah.
No, anyone can lose to a Tottenham at any time. But the manner of that defeat and the way they've been playing since then, they've had the break, they've come back, and they've folded again. Something's not right there, and something's majorly not right there. It'll be typical for them to turn up against us and be like prime Barcelona, but there's too many things. There's too many players there that look like they don't have the hard yards in them. They want the ball at feet, and they want to run at players, and they want to do all the nice stuff, but they don't want to do the ugly stuff as well, and it's showing. And I think the manner of that defeat against Spurs, the 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of injury time, I think that was just a sickening. You ever watch boxing? You see a boxer who gets a body blow, and it takes a bit of time, but they go, and they never get up. That's what it looks to me like what's happened to Leicester. I think Leicester are at a stage with that squad that it needs probably 4 or 5 out, and they need to rebuild again. And they did well for a club the size of Leicester to get to where they've got to in the last few years, but they really do need a refresh. They got to be careful what they wish for, because doing it, Rodgers, for all of his critics, did really well with Leicester. To get a club like Leicester to consistently finish in the top 6, qualify for Europe year in, year out for the last few years, is an achievement in itself. Because if you'd have said that a decade ago, you'd have been laughed out the room. They've spent, but they haven't spent crazy.
Yeah, but this is where I disagree, because in 1920, Brendan Rodgers gets beaten by 4-0 by Liverpool on Boxing Day at the King Power. It puts them, I think, something like 13 points behind Liverpool, right? I think Liverpool are probably 8 or 10 going into it, and they were all saying if Leicester win this, Liverpool, one of the best
we were talking about getting reeled back in and stuff like that.
Yeah, and from there, he picks up 23 points in 19 games and misses out the top 4, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, that's not an achievement. Now, I had a massive row with Grizz at the time about it. He was like, look who they are, and look who... And I'm like, I don't give a fuck who they are. Where they were second in the table after that game, and they didn't make the top 4. If Liverpool do the same thing and are top at Christmas, and have done this, and don't win a title, everyone says, look how they fell apart, and it all gets thrown. And I don't care what your stature is in the game, or as a club. Last season, there was teams falling around them to try give them a fucking Champions League spot, and they went and lost on the last day of the season against Spurs. So, I get that side of it.
No, I get that side of it as well.
The size of the club, I give you. But this is a club that have... You can't keep going back and thinking back to Filbert Street and Robbie Savage and fucking, all these players. You can't do that, right? They are sitting in a purpose-built stadium. I think it's around 30 to 35,000. They're looking to extend it. They're sitting on 100 million of a training ground. So they're not walking around as paupers here. You know what I mean? They do sell some of their big players to fund what they're trying to do, which is fine. Most teams, the vast majority of teams in the world football do that, okay? What I'm saying is, I just can't for the life of me understand that people say to me, oh, well, he's done really well at Leicester. I think he's been about par at Leicester.
Yeah, I think, listen, I still see Leicester as a stepping stone club for players.
Oh, 100%. But anybody below
sixth.
Anybody below the top 6 are. But what I'm saying is, and listen, would I put Leicester in the top 6 or the top 4? No, right? And people will argue, well, there you go. He came 5th twice. What's the problem? It's not about that. You have to look at the circumstance.
The position he was in.
Exactly. Exactly.
From a position of being comfortable in 4th.
Absolutely.
You have to get there.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's, and I don't want to go on too much of a rant about Brendan Rodgers because it bothers me. But what this is my point all the time about him. The position. Listen, if you'd have made a run at top 4 last season and missed out on the final day with a defeat, you go, they made a good run. They weren't expecting.
And got an FA Cup final.
Yeah,
happy days.
You know what I mean? And Torres, don't forget injuries. Every pundit has been very sympathetic. No one's saying everyone gets injuries. Brendan Rodgers was telling you that he had injuries and they were down to COVID because players had to play because other players had COVID. And then he was walking around with full teams. You know, and what message does that send to your players where you go, he doesn't believe in us? He's actually trying to get games called off where he doesn't believe in us. It seems to be a ball rolling for me, Kev. I could be completely wrong.
He's been told he's going in the summer, personally. I think he's been told, look, come the summer, we're going to change things up. Your man, Dan something, or I can't remember his last name, is gone from Brighton. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Potter turning up at Leicester next season.
Right.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see that happen. The guy who's left there as director of football at Brighton, he's gone to Newcastle. Mm-hmm. It's a massive coup for Newcastle to get him. But I honestly think that when I first read the comments without seeing the game,
Potter turning up at Newcastle?
Nothing. It's quite possible as well.
If they stay up, it's a much more appealing thing.
Yeah, I said this to Kendall when Kendall was on with us. I don't think your man who's there now, Eddie Howe, should be anywhere near a Premier League football club. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Potter end up at Newcastle if they stay up. And it looks like they've bought their way out of. They'll buy their way to stay up.
The only thing about Potter going to Newcastle would be is that they could turn into one of these clubs, a bit like City in the early days. Remember, you had Hughes and this was before the Saudis came in, or the lads from the Middle East came in. They had didn't they have like a fucking Japanese owner? Do you remember before these boys? His name escapes me, but like you can remember Pierce.
Oh, Thaksin Shinawatra? Oh, no.
Was that him? It might have been.
Was he the guy who brought in Sven-Goran Eriksson?
Yeah, there was an owner there that had, and then there was all stuffs going on after it. And I don't want to mix him up with the guy that was at Birmingham because that was a whole fucking mess altogether.
Oh no, he was different.
But
I think it was the same guy. He went off to. He had something to do with Cardiff as well, didn't he? Was that Vincent Tan?
No, that was
different.
Listen, there was a few of them.
It was crazy for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that Newcastle could end up something like that where they're going to throw 3 or 4 managers around the place till they land on the sweet spot, and it could be a bit mad where that Potter might turn off that and go. Yeah. In fairness, Leicester is a very grounded club. Like I said, they have a brilliant training facility, they have a great stadium, they have a decent squad. It's something I could build on, the sort of way.
Yeah.
So that might be
Dan Ashworth. Yeah, Dan Ashworth was his name. Cal put it up in the comments there. It was he's a really good director of football. And that's the one thing that I look at Newcastle. They're surrounding themselves with a lot of good knowledge of and good talented people in key areas of the game. So if he goes in and does a good job, then Newcastle will be a force next season. But honestly, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Brendan's been told, look, you've done what you can, see out this season, and we'll part ways.
Yeah, it's either one of the two. It's either one of the two where...
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Listen, he's gone and said, listen, this isn't good enough. I need X, Y, and Z. And they've gone, yeah, we believe in you. You won an FA Cup last season, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. Or it is a case of, without telling him, he's probably getting the vibes that, I don't know how far this is going. There could be a bit of uncertainty in Rodgers where he's going, they're not really saying anything. We're not really discussing plans for the summer yet. Silence can be a killer from a football owner, that sort of way.
Oh yeah.
But I listen. I don't know how we got on to Leicester, but I do know we're playing them on Thursday. But if there's anything else that you want to talk about, absolutely throw it at us. Football related, Liverpool related. But just on Sadio Mane, the scenes in Senegal are absolutely incredible, aren't they?
Mental. And look, the closest we ever got to it was Italia '90. I'd come back on holiday. I was 18, and I'd come back on holiday, and the night of the afternoon of the Romania game, we were in a nightclub around Bayer where we are, and there was about 2,000 people in there at about 4:00 in the afternoon to watch this game.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything for 2 days. After that game, after the penalty shootout, that was the closest I'd come to seeing what the scenes were like in Senegal. It was absolute mayhem. And that's what international. That's why I love international football, because it brings
It
a
can bring
whole
a whole
country
country
together.
together, yeah.
It can bring a whole country together. Whereas with clubs, you have your rivalries and everything like that within families, But with international football, everyone is in the same boat.
Yeah.
You're all pulling together, and it is special. It was there. They've been threatening to do this for a while. They're a serious side. They've got some proper players in that side, like. Not just Manny, but Koulibaly as well, and a few others. They're a really good side,
Mm.
and they were deserved winners in the end. They were the best team. They were the best team in the tournament for me.
Mm.
But Sadio was the absolute leader of that side. And some of the comments that you're reading post match about what the players said to him at halftime for
Mm.
missing the penalty, and the reactions afterwards, phenomenal. The reaction of Salah or Mane and Salah at the final whistle and everything like that. I'd love to see it, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. The more you hear about Sadio Mane, you realize what a proper human being he is. And even the story today that came out while he was when he was in hospital suffering from concussion, and recovering from that, he paid for someone's operation who was in there with him. Mental. The guy is just
He's like
a
he's
beautiful
absolutely, he's
person.
absolutely brilliant. And as much as we spoke about Salah earlier being gutted and wanting to get back into it and try, probably put it to the back of his mind by playing football.
Mm.
On the other hand, you have to look at Sadio Mane and go like, fucking hero, isn't he?
Yeah,
And the
couldn't
fact
happen
that
to a nicer guy.
yeah, and in a footballing sense, we're hoping that it just pushes Sadio on again.
Mm.
Like it's
And it very well could do. And the fact that you've got Diaz there as well could really you could have a situation where you're going to see a pumped up Sadio come back,
yeah,
more with a point to prove.
yeah,
Jota, Bobby, and Diaz to push them on.
yeah. That would happen.
So it's only great for us.
G10 says, Gav, I don't know if it's mentioned on previous shows, but I thought the ITV Ian Wright prison piece on Sunday was outstanding. Ian seems such a genuine, honest person. Just
Didn't
thought it
see
was
it.
worth a mention.
Read a bit about it,
It
right,
was
but I didn't
brilliant.
see it.
It was a player from Boreham Wood that at 16, I think he gets released by Arsenal, ends up getting into all sorts of trouble, ends up in prison.
Right.
And Ian Wright does a bit with him at that time. And now what? I think it's something like fucking 13, 14 years later, he's playing for Boreham Wood away at Bournemouth and wins in the cup. Ian Wright is brilliant, in fairness to him.
Ian Wright is a proper geezer, yeah.
Yeah, and he's done a couple of bits where they've stood out. Do you remember didn't he go back and meet his old trainer?
Yeah,
from
that's a
school
great
days?
video.
So that's a brilliant one as well.
That's a great video, because I thought you were dead. Someone told me you were dead.
Yeah.
I'm very much alive, Ian.
Red Steve says, idea for a TV show, Gav and Kev play a pair of hard-nosed detectives called Blood and Thunder, but a HR clerical error means that they're now called Thud and Blunder. Who plays who? I don't know. I don't know. I'll be Blunder.
We'll leave that up
I
to
make
you
most
guys.
of I make most of the mistakes on this channel, so I'll be Blunder if you want. I don't really mind. But listen, on Sadio Mane, he's enjoying the celebrations. He's every right to, and it looks like Klopp said he'd be back in Liverpool tomorrow evening. So he won't play against Leicester, but the chances are he'll turn up on Wednesday. And in fairness, as much as Salah's come back in and wants to play, Sadio, after a couple of days celebrations, could turn up on Thursday morning training going, right, I'm playing Sunday. The sort of way.
He has form for it, like.
Yeah, and it's not like what Salah's doing is brilliant, but it's not like it's him on his own. I would reckon most players in that squad would turn up and go, I'm playing. It's just the way they are.
Yeah.
Emmett says that Ian Wright video meeting his old coach will bring a tear to a glass eye. It was a brilliant one. And he's done some great stuff. And Ian Wright is just, the way you see some pundits trying to be a football fan that just happens to be a pundit. He is. And if you actually look at Ian Wright's story, he gets picked up by Crystal Palace, and it's one of his last chances to get into professional football.
Well, he was playing non-league, or not non-league. Yeah, it was non-league, but he come through the Sunday League system, and I think he was playing in Finchley, but he was just playing or Hackney Marshes or something.
Yeah, I remember. I was listening to a podcast a while ago, and I can't remember who it was saying that it was somebody used to be at Palace. And I think but they were basically saying like that like this fella turned up and he just, not that he was just so much energy and wanted so much to to achieve what he wanted to achieve, and actually Mark Bright turning up. I think Mark Bright gets signed from Stoke or something like that, and he's actually the one that calms Wright down and
Yeah,
makes
it
him
was
say,
a great foil.
you know,
They were a great foil for each other.
It was a great story. It really was
Yeah.
a great story. And Ian Wright, I have
there was
loads
another
of time
one.
for Ian Wright.
I watched an interview he did with Calvin
Sorry,
Phillips.
Just says there, Ian Wright's story is amazing. Was an electrician and got one more shot of football. He definitely did. He got it was, what's his name, the former United player, Koppel. I think it's Koppel that brings him.
Stevie Koppel, yeah,
and brings him in, and he was moving out a couple of the old guard at Palace. Brings him in, gives him a chance, and look where it went. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's got his sons have obviously played. Bradley Wright Phillips,
yeah,
and
Sean Wright Phillips' son is
Sean
playing.
Wright. Yeah, he's got his grandson is playing now as well.
Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah. G10
really
says
they really know how to age you.
Yeah. That's it. G10 says Wright is a great pun that can analyse a game fairly and be entertained at the same time. Something most can't do.
Himself and Keno are very good together.
I've loads of time for him. I've loads of time for Ali McCoy as well.
Yeah.
Because
he was straight and honest with his punditry as well. The way he was talking about the game, the Cardiff game with us, and he was honest about it. Some of the stuff with Curtis Jones wasn't good enough. The technique that Curtis was using to shoot wasn't quite right. But at least he's a pundit that you go, you know what? Yeah, he knows what he's talking about here, and he's not fluffing it.
Georgie, 1 foot, the Leicester fan. How are you, my man? Salah, have the week off, pal. Rest up. I'd like to know what you think of going into Thursday, Georgie, and I'd like to know what you think of Brendan Rodgers' comments and stuff like that after the defeat to Forest at the weekend, the FA Cup. Otherwise, Liverpool, we're just waiting for this league game to come back, really. It looks like Divock Origi is back in training, so we literally have a full squad to choose from.
Yeah.
No one has reported any issues as of yet. So as we go into this Thursday, I think Leicester might have a couple of injuries still, a couple of players out. But as we go into this, Kev, to have a fully fit squad is nearly unheard of, but to have it at this time,
it's gold.
It is, isn't it? It really is.
It is pure gold. Seen some of the pictures today from training. There was the one video as well with Thiago chipping Adrian. And it was interesting the pictures that we saw as well, who was in them and what they were doing while they were in them. The likes of, you had Robertson, Diaz, Bobby, and I think Jota in a group together. So maybe it's a case that we might actually see Luis Diaz starting. In fairness, he come off the games against Colombia, and the way he plays for Colombia is very restricted in what he stays out on the wing and he stays where he stays put. Everything with Colombia was about James and Falcao, which I thought was really weird.
And the Cuadrado, isn't it? They play a
lot Cuadrado. Everything was all down the right hand side, and he was stuck out on the left, twiddling his thumbs. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a start.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because
he didn't have fitness issues, and he did have a winter break with Porto.
Yeah,
Porto.
So he's primed.
Is one of those countries that do stop for a winter break in January. So he's not overly played.
Well, Red Jabi said he's both there, but he says Hendo was missing from training today. And John says the LFC fans I've seen on Twitter celebrating that Henderson isn't training are a disgrace. Listen,
absolutely.
Listen, come here and I tell you, stop paying attention to people on Twitter. Like my outlook on Twitter is to go on, chat about football, have a bit of a laugh. Like we were talking, I seen a big thread today on my Twitter feed anyway, about fucking mushy peas in can you get them from takeaways, and it was great crack. That's what it's meant to be about. Georgie just comes back to Leicester fan. He said the Forest result was the last straw for him, and his comments were shocking, throwing the players under the bus. Yeah, I think they are as well. I think there's a way.
There's ways of navigating those interviews.
Yeah, and I'm going to repeat myself because George probably wasn't in at the start. But George, the way I look at it is, he could have made the same point a lot better way and got a much better reaction out of the players. I think I don't know if you agree, Georgie, but for me, a lot of them players be going, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? And I always ask the question, why didn't Brendan Rodgers after 15, 20 minutes or whatever amount of minutes of that game turn and go, right lads, listen, we're not doing the basics right, so I want you to drop at 15 yards. I want you to get back into shape. We're going to make sure that they don't get through us. We're going to be physical. We're going to do the basics of defending really well, and then we're going to try and move up the pitch again and start again. But he didn't. Just left him to it. We gave him a top squad and 100 million training complex, and he's not getting the best out of them, taking us backwards, not taking any blame for either. So Georgie. So there you go. Let me see. Mushy P is in a long tray. For fuck's sake, England, get it together. Okay. And you see, this turns into an Irish and English thing because mushy peas are only available in England by the sounds of it. But look, it's one of those. Gav, I normally ignore these people, but we're talking about trolls. There were normal-minded people happy he wasn't training. Well, they're not normal-minded people if they're happy that he's not training.
Yeah,
you're contradicting yourself, Jono, and I'm not having to go with you. I'm just saying,
the worry,
if you think that a Liverpool fan is normal-minded, celebrating the fact that a player is not training, they are not normal-minded. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the agendas are real, and people will hang on to their agendas until eventually they're put right, or they're proved right, and eventually a player fails.
Yeah,
but then you see them happy. They're just not worth your time. They're not worth your oxygen.
But I just think that I don't know why Twitter has just turned into all about football. Twitter is meant to be, and same as all social media, go on and just have a laugh.
Yeah.
Like, just have a laugh, talk about whatever. You know what I mean? And if you don't have anything to say, just don't say it. That's what I do. I tweet very rarely. But I
go back to Liverpool 1 sec. I was worried of Fabinho and Alisson coming back, because I'd assumed they all travelled back together, the Brazilian lads. Mm-hmm. And Fred and Alex Telles have tested positive.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, our lads have trained today, so you assume they're okay. My biggest worry was to see them in the training, to make sure that they were there.
Yeah.
Because I thought, if they got the same playing back, is that going to throw up a problem for us? Because as nice as it is having him back, having him available, is especially Fabinho for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelleher, I wouldn't mind if he played, or if he had to play the odd game here and there. I had no concerns over him, but I think Fabinho is very, very important, especially for the type of games that we're going to be coming up against in the next few weeks.
Correct. Fabinho did test positive recently, though, says own nil. Henderson does a lot of recovery separate from the full squad. Lots of players have separate recovery programs. Not being spotted in training means diddly squat these days.
Spot on.
Leicester players went out on the piss after Saturday's loss. Rodgers has lost the dressing room. Well, says Red Jabby. I don't know if that's true, but if you've heard it, I'll go with you because I don't know any different. Let me see. So yeah, look, do you want to have a little chat before we go about tonight's football?
Yeah, tonight was all right. It was
because I know it's the Cup update. We're meant to bring you all the Liverpool news, but genuinely we're just waiting for the game to happen on Thursday. Somebody asked us, there a midweek fix tomorrow? There absolutely is. There absolutely is. 10 o'clock. Midweek
10 o'clock tomorrow night.
100%.
But every game this midweek is televised. I didn't know that until I just had it. My nephew was sat with us today. I asked him what game is on, because he's got a memory for, like, he'd be great in the quizzes. But yeah, he just said to me every game is televised. So I was flicking between the three of them tonight. I seen Trippier's goal.
Is he a Liverpool fan?
Oh God, good God, yeah, he's going over
what age
is he? He's 18 in a few weeks.
Okay, we might have to get him to place you in one of the quizzes.
That wouldn't be hard.
Oh well, look, I'm willing to give it a go.
He's they're going over for his 18th for the Leicester game. They're flying over tomorrow. I can't wait. But I saw Trippier's goal for Newcastle, and I saw a bit of Saint-Maximin. He looked really lively, really up for it.
It was a mad one, just starting on that Newcastle-Everton one. Yeah. Everything go up through an own goal, and a minute later it's 1-1 because of an own goal. Is that right? I haven't seen it. I've just seen the results.
Yeah, no, Chris texted me, he was like, you wouldn't believe what just happened there.
Yeah.
And it was 2 own goals in the space of a few minutes. Weird as you like. But
drags Everton back in, doesn't it?
Right? Everton are getting dragged into it.
Yeah, and they've Leeds at the weekend.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. That's an absolute huge game now.
And I think Leeds might be just above them at the moment. But if Leeds could put real distance between them and Everton, I just want to double check that, because I was actually looking at the table when Everton went 1-0 up, and then I turned and it was 1-1. But like they're getting dragged. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Newcastle will have enough.
Leeds are 3 points clear of Everton, right? Going into
Yeah.
the weekend, and the
Are
cup
they
with
say the
six,
same games played?
same games played. Yeah, so Everton at the
Yeah.
moment have played one game less than Newcastle, Norwich, and Watford. They currently sit a point clear of Newcastle, 2 clear of Norwich, 4 clear of Watford. Um, Burnley have 2 games in hand, everyone above them. If Burnley were to win that 2 games in hand, he'd go up to 20 points, bringing Everton back down again. But yeah, like I said a while back, that 6 games that they have coming up is it's
Yeah,
actually a bit scary.
Everton are in a bit of trouble, and as much as people banter and stuff like that, with their financial problems in the Premier League, if they went down, they're well capable of doing a Sunderland and worse.
Well, I'm
You
just looking
know,
here. They're home to Leeds, away to Southampton, home to Man City, away to Spurs, home to Wolves in the next 5.
I don't see where they're getting points.
Well, it's an interesting one because they were beaten with being beaten tonight, and with it being Newcastle, it just tightens everything up. Everton
Because
had
yeah,
another 2 injuries in the first half tonight. It's Barry Devaney.
yeah, I think Mina went off. I think. Um, I don't know who the other one was.
I knew Ali come on early, didn't he? He come on for Damari
No,
Gray.
Andre Gomez.
No,
Yeah,
Damari
Demarai
Gray.
Gray.
The Ev have 1 win in 15 games.
They're in serious trouble. Like,
Yeah, Gray and Mina went off, says Megan McCallion. Fair
yeah.
play.
I think Roy Hodgson, if he'd have gone into Watford instead of Ranieri, he'd have got him safe because he'd have got him drilled into a shape that they don't concede many, and they would have been able to bank with their pace with João Pedro and Ismail Assar
Yeah,
of hitting sides on the counter. I think
Dennis
Roy
or whatever it
Hodgson,
might. Yeah,
yeah, I think they'll run out of time. By the time Hodgson would get him drilled into a shape, I think they
could be
could
a
be
bit too
gone.
late.
It could be a bit too late
They're
for him.
beaten by West Ham tonight, who take advantage
Yeah,
of
1-0.
United drawing at Burnley.
Yeah, they go
Um,
into fourth, don't they?
and Jesus, I was like talking about the bottom 5 or 6 or whatever, but it's just a bit. I was looking at the,
Like
I
nobody wants
suppose
fourth.
that's what I'm looking at. The race for top four, as they call it, like because like I always look at fourth place and where Liverpool are in relation to it, right? So at the moment, Liverpool have 22 games played. They're currently 8 points clear of West Ham with 2 games in hand, right?
Yeah,
But when you look at it, West Ham sit with 40 points, right? In fourth place, which is
yeah,
way below the 2 point average you need usually to
yeah.
get into fourth, right? It's madness, actually, right?
I'll be looking at Spurs there.
Yeah, well, that's the
And
thing. United have 1 game in hand on West Ham. They're sit a point behind them, right?
yeah, that's not.
Arsenal have 3 games in hand on West Ham, right?
Yeah,
And sit 4 points behind them. And Spurs have 4 games in hand on West
yeah.
Ham and sit 4 points behind them.
Spurs are the ones to watch.
But if Spurs and Arsenal do anything at all in those games in hand, forget West Ham over United. United could be sitting in 7th. And don't forget, Wolves can go above United, who they currently sit in 8th, right? They can go above United if they win their 2 games in hand that they have over United as well.
And the
So
thing is, you look at
they're going to kill each other, aren't they? They're going to actually kill each
yeah,
other
yeah.
on the way to this.
I look at Wolves as a side. They're very hard to beat. They pick up draws and they pick up ugly wins. So and United have a serious problem, a serious crisis of confidence. I mean, tonight again, they went 1-up. They scored 2 goals that were disallowed. They went in at halftime 1-0, probably down on themselves for not being 3-0 up. And then Burnley come out in the second half and have a goal. And I was really impressed with Weghorst. I said he was a decent striker, but he's a 31-year-old Dutch international who knows his game and who knows what he's good at. He's very good at. He drops deep. He's very good at linking up the play, and he's a right handful. When we play Burnley at the weekend, look, Van Dijk will know him, and he'll know what he's good at. And you'd expect us to beat them, but I thought they were really defiant in the second half, Burnley, and they had a right go, and they deserve the least they deserved was a point.
Yeah.
And I think Wanyarak is taking them slowly and steadily away
I don't
from
know
the
what
Champions
Ranić
League.
is. I don't even
I
know
don't know
what
what he's
Ranić.
trying to
I don't
achieve.
even know what Ranić is trying to do at this stage. Because you see a midfield there today of, I think it was Pogba and was it Pogba and McTominay?
Pogba, McTominay, and Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, and it's
And
just
he
like
had
there's no
Rashford and
protection there.
Sancho on the wings.
Yeah, Jono says two of Spurs' 4 games in hand are Arsenal and United, massive games.
They're
Wolves are in
huge.
better form than other teams around. The top 4 will be
Yeah,
a great watch this season, says Megan. It really will be. Yus feels that
yeah,
if Conte locks that defence down, Spurs will get top 4. Wolves
yeah.
could go above United, he says with a grin, says never man. There was a bit of a grin there, in fairness. I
Yeah.
tried my best.
Oh,
But
Newell there took Max Corney. Max Corney did limp off. Looked a bit like a dead leg.
okay.
I reckon he'll be all right for the weekend. He's got enough time to recover from that, but it looked like a dead leg. I hope it's nothing serious because he's another one. See, he just come back from the AFCON
Mm.
and coming back from the
Came
climate
back
in
and played against
Cameroon.
Watford.
Yeah, but you're coming back from the climate in Cameroon to come back and play in England. You know yourself, if you go on holiday, you come back, you're not right for a couple of days.
Yeah, you're freezing.
You know, never mind come back as an athlete and having to go and play at an intense level in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can be as used to travel all you like, but weather and climate and everything like that takes its toll.
Yeah. Yus says for Liverpool, 10 games before we play Man City, 7 of them at home. None of them against the Big Six. City have 6 away games, played 3 of the Big Six in that time. United have been great over 45 minutes in the last few games. It's a shame that the games are 90 minutes. All Newell, as you said, says that Max Corney did limp off, so could miss the game against us. St. Maximum was unplayable tonight, says Kat.
He was very, very good.
He always is. Usually when you see him, he
Yeah.
is. Gav, can you get Joe on for some frank chat for the Leeds Everton game? I could try.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard because we play Thursday night and Friday is the Sports Unplugged show, and that's going to be dominated by probably Liverpool and the NFL. So, but do you know what? I might try to get him on early next week. I'll see what I can do. Maybe if he's free, one of the afternoons this week, I could talk to him on this show at 2:00. So I'll leave it with me and I'll see what I can do, Steve. Sancho looked better tonight. Shawnee actually texted us earlier and said, "Isn't it mad how Sancho insists on those weights on his ankles as part in his contract?" Shawnee just can't believe the man can run. So it's one of those. Let man a party, says never man. Yeah, he looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's stopping him.
Yeah.
But look, I think that's about it for this evening.
Yeah.
We've covered loads. We've covered
Yeah, we've done
football,
loads,
Mane, Salah, Rodgers. There's loads of stuff.
2 games tomorrow night as well, and a show tomorrow night. So
yeah,
tuck into those tomorrow night as well.
So don't forget, I won't be back tomorrow at 2. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 p.m. with the midweek fix. Thursday I'll do the Cop update and at 2 p.m. and we'll have full-time Reds with me and Kev after the Leicester game. Friday will be Sports Unplugged with Kev and Chris, and Sunday will be full-time Reds after our Burnley game and the Fatback 4 at 10 p.m. Don't forget to go into the description and have a look at Féileacáin at their website and our donate page. As I said, we're just about to tip over €2,000, over €10,000 target, and it's I just can't say how brilliant the charity it is, and I know I keep repeating myself, but it absolutely is. So please donate, and if you can't, please share, because we all know where the share button is. If we see something funny, we share it. If we see something ridiculous, we share it. So listen, you'll see something very important. Please share it, both the website and the donate page, and we'll really start pushing this and really motor towards this 10 grand. So make sure you check that out. If you want to be involved in our WhatsApp style chat that's coming up, you can find that in the description as well. You basically hit a link, you give an email address, and we should be launching that on Friday. There's 2 options. There's a free one, and then for the exact same stuff, there's one for $2.99. The $2.99 is to go towards the channel, but it's not really. It'll go towards the running of this chat facility that we're doing, because it doesn't come for free. And we will be putting the rest off for charity. So if you want to give the $2.99, and that's your way of helping out the channel or helping out the charities that we help out, absolutely fine. If you want to do it for free, absolutely fine as well. Anything else before we go, Kev?
All good, mate. All good. Looking forward to Thursday night. Can't wait.
Yeah, either can
I
I.
mean, the cup was a nice appetizer, but it's the league, man. I can't wait to get back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. Most people like this show tonight, Kev. We got abused for
Well, they're
last
very
night's
good.
show. We got abused for last night's show for talking about Phil's fridge door, appliances, Phil not knowing what was going on. People were like just lambasting him today. And
Gotta love Phil, man.
you know the thing is, like, Phil genuinely didn't say anything because he's
No.
had 2 or 3 different things going on in the last month where I've literally had 4 texts off Phil in the last month, and I
messaged him.
I'd usually have a couple a day, you know.
Yeah.
But I left him to his own devices. But
I
people
messaged
got
him a
very
couple of weeks
upset
ago
over it.
about coming on for the Super Bowl, and whatever way my predictive text work, it said Super Owl.
Oh yeah, so he's calling it Superb Owl
So
now.
now
Yeah.
everything it's the Superb Owl is on.
Yeah, and he won't let that go forever.
And he won't go. That's
No.
it. One typo, and that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, look, anyone that didn't like it last night, genuinely, it was me telling Phil what was going on because he genuinely needed to know. But I thought it was actually brilliant. Liverpool
That was
chatting there as
hilarious.
well.
I loved it.
But listen, that's the way it goes. Some people like it, some people don't. One person doesn't like tonight. I'm sure they'll leave a comment in afterwards and let us know.
Hopefully.
That has been the Cop update. A much later version today. As I said, we will be back with you tomorrow at 10 p.m. for the midweek fix. Go and enjoy whatever's left of your Tuesday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Be good. Over now.